Thank you all very much for that warm welcome, that spectacular greeting. The last time I addressed this prestigious audience was about 3 years ago. And since that time, I have visited over 146 colleges and universities, speaking to young people over this country, inspiring them to continue to believe in the American dream. And they have responded. One of the schools that I visited was Morehouse College. The event was sponsored by the Morehouse College Republicans. They do have a Morehouse College Republican group at a black school. There are some people who want you to believe that there are no black conservatives out there, that there are no black Republicans out there. What am I, chopped liver? And when I was at Morehouse, there was a young man that impressed me with his speech while he was talking about the American dream. This young man's name is Mark Smith II. He has since graduated from Morehouse College this month. And in his speech that he gave the night that I was invited to be their keynote speaker, this young man eloquently described America as a place that defeats nightmares and restores dreams, the American dream. America is a nation that defeats nightmares and restores dreams. America has some nightmares in its history, but America has defeated those nightmares in its history. America has nightmares in its history, but it has even more dreams achieved in its history than nightmares. The last 6 years of America's history may well go down as a period of scandals and a crisis of leadership. Some of us who watch what's going on in Washington, D.C. and politically feel as if we are living in one of America's nightmares. And it is a nightmare. The last 6 years have produced scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. The IRS, the EPA, the DOJ, the NSA, NLRB, UCA, Benghazi Gate, and the VA, and that's not a rap song. Scandalous. And for the millions of Americans, the real number is over 12% of the working population. For those that can't find a job, it is a perpetual nightmare because of this sluggish economy. So as a result, You're here. I'm here. These other great speakers are here. The believers in this great country are all looking for the same thing. We're looking for leadership because there is none in Washington, D.C. We're looking for leadership. And as you listen to all of the great speakers that are here and great speakers on the radio and great speakers on TV, by the way, since I last saw you, I'm also a syndicated radio talk show host. And for those that I know that are burning to find out whether or not I'm in your city, go to hermancain.com, HermanCain.com. But this country is looking for leadership. We are all looking for leadership. So I'm going to give you two things that describe what leadership looks like. Because too many Americans were fooled 6 years ago. I don't think anybody in this room was fooled. But 6 years ago, too many people were fooled and found out that we have someone in the White House that does not practice leadership, but a lot of positionship. Positionship versus leadership. You see, great leaders are born. Good leaders keep working at it. And bad leaders are clueless. We're looking for leadership. It has two characteristics. The first, W-A-R, war. Leaders know how to work on the right problem, ask the right questions, and remove barriers to success. War. Sometimes being in a leadership position is war. But leaders work on the right problems, ask the right questions, and remove barriers. When we look at what's going on relative to some of these scandals, some of these disasters, were we working on the right problem when the Democrats decided to hijack the greatest healthcare system in the world? They were not working on the right problem. Not for the people. But what they wanted to achieve was more power and control over the people. So now we have the responsibility to take back our liberties, to take back our freedom to choose our doctors, take back our freedom to choose our medical systems, our medical care. That's the right problem that we're going to have to work on in the future. Leaders work on the right problems. The VA system. I've served in a number of executive positions in my life and career. And when the whole VA scandal broke the news, the first question that you heard a lot of people asking, especially in the media, some members of Congress, was, should Secretary Shinseki step down? Over and over and over, the question was, should he step down? Should President Obama fire him? That wasn't the right question. The right question is, what has he been doing for 6 years to allow this mess to continue at the VA? That's the right question. For 6 years, he presided over the VA system and was shocked when he learned of the problems, and the president and his chief White House spokesperson had to learn about it in the news. That's not leadership. That is not leadership. Leaders work on the right problems. Leaders ask the right questions. And leaders remove barriers to success. The biggest barrier that the American dream is running up against right now, biggest barriers are lies and deception. Wouldn't it be nice to have truth in government again? The only way we're going to get it is to elect people that have a truthful character, and people who you won't have to watch every minute of the day to determine whether or not you're being lied to again. That's why I'm supporting young people like Paul Dietzel to send him to Congress from the 6th District here in Louisiana. That's why I'm supporting a gentleman running for Congress in Georgia by the name of Jody Heiss, who has a truthful character. That's why I'm supporting a CEO by the name of David Perdue running for Senate in the great state of Georgia. That's why I'm running a young man running for Congress out in Nevada by the name of Nigel Ennis. I know their character, I know their hearts, and I know they will not lie to the American people. In the state of Florida, there's a young lady by the name of Glo Smith who is running to unseat Corinne Brown. And if you don't know Corinne Brown, don't find out. They remove barriers. The American dream is stalled because we are not getting the truth. And that's what our challenge is. So the first thing that you look for in the narrative of those seeking your vote or seeking your support is, do they understand what a leader does? A leader works on the right problems, asks the right questions, and remove barriers to success, whatever those barriers are. Right now, one of our biggest barriers is called Democrats in the White House. The second thing you look for when you're looking for leadership: R and R and R. 3 R's. R and R and R. We've got to restructure stuff. We've got to replace stuff. We've got to rebuild stuff. We got to restructure Social Security, restructure Medicare, restructure the Environmental Protection Agency, and restructure the VA. We have got to replace the tax code, replace the Unaffordable Care Act, replace Harry Reid, and replace the Democrat-controlled Senate. When you hear somebody running for office who uses the words reform, repair, or revisit, don't vote for them. That's political speak for business as usual in Washington, D.C. You want people to go to Washington, D.C. to solve problems, not preside over problems and make problems worse. That's why the language of leaders is restructure, replace, and rebuild. We've got to rebuild this economy. And the way we rebuild this economy, history has already taught us how to grow this economy at 4 or 5%. But those in charge are ignoring the best parts of our history. If you want a robust, growing country, you have got to become a government that's business friendly, and you've got to get rid of the tax code and allow businesses to succeed. We've got to rebuild our military, the greatest in the world. You don't rebuild the military by canceling the strategic missile defense systems over in the other part of the world. You don't rebuild the military and our capabilities by thinking that you can thumb a ride with the Russians to the Space Center. When I was growing up, and I was in high school, and sometimes I would walk home rather than ride the bus through downtown Atlanta, it was safe for a couple of young boys to thumb a ride on the street headed in our direction. You didn't hear about kidnappings. You didn't hear about mass abduction. It was safe back in the 50s and the early 60s. People would thumb rides. You didn't hear about some of the stuff that we hear about today. Well, today, you don't dare try and thumb a ride unless you want to take your life in your hands. And the same thing applies to thumbing a ride to the Space Center with the Russians. I have a breaking news announcement that may not have penetrated the intelligence and the brains of the people in charge yet. The Russians are not our friends. I know it might sound like common sense, but they're not our friends. So we got to rebuild our military, and we got to rebuild the pride in the USA. I'm proud of this country. I'm proud of this nation for a lot of reasons. So when you look for leaders and you look for leadership, look for someone who understands WAR and RRR. And here's what we've got to do. I reminded you of this 3 years ago. We've got to stay informed. The stupid people are outvoting us. My radio talk show is on 3 hours a day, 5 days a week out of Atlanta's WSB, my whole station. I'm on about 155 stations now. And I remind them all the time that the most disgusting thing about the last presidential election was the fact that 3 million conservatives stayed home. And 3 million conservatives casted a vote for Barack Obama by staying home. We cannot do that again. Barack Obama won his second term by 3,000,001 stupid votes. We cannot stay home. We got to stay informed. Know what's going on. Know when you're being lied to. Know when we're being deceived. Know the truth when you see it, and know leadership when you see it. Stay informed. Secondly, stay involved. I'm glad you all are here. You're involved. I've run and met a lot of people that I know in a lot of the states. who are here because they want to be involved and informed. They're active in the Republican Party. They're active conservatives. You have to stay involved. Politics is no longer a spectator sport. You have to be in the arena if you want to win. You see, when I was here 3 years ago and I threw out a hint that I might run for president, and after my character was viciously attacked, that forced me to drop out of the presidential race because I couldn't stand to see my family suffer all of that crap that you saw on TV every day, the liberals thought that they had shut me up. I'm back. I'm back. You see, they don't understand that I'm the son of a man by the name of Luther Cain Jr. and a lady by the name of Herman Cain, a man who walked off a farm at the age of 18 with just the clothes on his back to pursue his American dreams, and he did by working 3 jobs. He never complained about minimum wage. He couldn't live off of 1 minimum wage job, so he got 2. If he couldn't make it off 2, he got 3 until he was able to achieve his American dream, and he did the old-fashioned way, sweat equity. So I'm still involved, and I'm not going away, and they're not going to shut me up. So stay informed, stay involved, and stay inspired. Because you see, the liberals and the mainstream media, they want you to believe that we can't do this. Senator Ted Cruz laid it out for us, along with some of the others. Our first priority, take back the Senate in November. We can do that. We can do that. We can do that. That's the first priority. And after we do that, we start looking to 2016, and then you start looking for people who are going to bring real leadership to the office of president. Not vote for somebody because of their color, not vote for somebody because of their gender. How about voting for somebody who can lead America out of this mess? So stay informed, stay involved, and stay inspired. Earlier this week, the world lost a very inspiring voice, Maya Angelou. I knew her. She did me and my wife the honor of speaking at the National Restaurant Association when I was president for a special event. Maya Angelou, one of the world's most inspiring voices. And one of her famous quotes is, "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." We may encounter many defeats, but we may not be defeated. And I remember the words of a lady who survived the Holocaust when the Allied soldiers rescued them just before she was supposed to enter the gas chamber. Her name was Berta. Berta was interviewed by a reporter. And the reporter wanted to know, did you give up hope? And she said, no, I did not. As she was standing on the steps of the gas chamber. And then the reporter said, why did you not give up hope? And her response was, giving up is a permanent solution to a temporary condition. The occupant of the White House is temporary. Let's not give up. And I'll leave you with this. As I travel and I get phone calls to my radio show, many people have asked me this same question, and that is, are you going to run again for President of the United States? My answer is honestly this. I do not know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future, and that's God Almighty. And in case somebody is wondering, I don't trust in government, I trust in God. Thank you very much.